TNMC यानी टोपीवाला नेशनल मेडिकल कॉलेज। उन्नीस सौ 74 बैच के MBBS डॉक्टर 50 साल के बाद 18 जनवरी 2024 को एक बार फिर से अपने कॉलेज TNMC में मिले। डॉक्टर शरद शेनॉय जी ने अपने पुराने साथियों को इकट्ठा करने का जिम्मा लिया। इस कार्यक्रम की शुरुआत दीप प्रज्वलित करके हुई। दीप प्रज्वलन समारोह पर नायर हॉस्पिटल के डीन डॉक्टर सुधीर मेढ़ेकर भी उपस्थित रहे। इस अनोखे मौके पर डॉक्टर डीन ने अपने विचार रखे।
Got surprised. I said, why are you here? You are from government. You said Nair is very important for us. Nair is very important for us because Nair is an important institute which can help for a public, which can help for our districts. So whole credit goes for you. You have created this institute. You are all cultivated this institute. Is really appreciating. Is my ground level experiences are there. He said that Nair is very important for us. In any other institute of Maharashtra, Nair is important for all this Maharashtra. I'm proud of this Nairite. I feel very encouraging, very enthusiastic to be part of this Nair culture. And I bow down that we'll continue. I will continue and cultivate this knowledge. Second thing, in a life you have very rich academic experience and experience-based learning. Because I believe that rather than book, the experience is very important. And experience gives very important vital role for its evidence-based practices. And I wish and hope that your orientation programs, your lectures will help our students or our the faculties to give something important aspect in their knowledge. So in short, I think I'll again congratulate you. I feel very encouraging to be part of you, and thank you very much for inviting here.
इस कार्यक्रम में आए बड़े बड़े दिग्गज डॉक्टर मगर 50 साल पहले पुराने दोस्त कुछ यादों को उजागर करते नजर आए।
As I was traveling from Bandra to Nair this morning with Dr. Sharad Shenoy, Jutika, Madhvi and Vanita, I was very curtly reminded that I was 1 year junior to them. So I should be respectful while I talk to all of you. So here is my very courteous good morning to you all. Very respectful good morning to you all. It's honestly such a happy occasion, and it's a huge privilege for me. A huge, the occasion is such that you have provided me with an opportunity to speak to you. So I'm thankful to Sharad and to your entire batch. Honestly, I think you all, as much as we are very lucky to have Sharad as our leaders. Believe me, I have worked with him in Alumni Association. I think we revived the association in 2005 sometimes. And since then we have been working together. He is an extraordinary leader. And the most important thing about him is, though we have heard about his laurels like his academic achievements, his sports achievements, etc. But if you ask me, his biggest qualification is the fact that he is a hardcore Nairite. His heart beats only for Nair, only for TNMC, and that is what he has proved time and again while being a part of the Alumni Association. As I see the faces sitting here in front of me, I can not only identify but associate you with some memory or the other. For example, Raju Khubchandani is the guy who introduced me to a cigarette brand called Peter's Tubicin, was it? We were so used to Puttu Chhap Bidis, and suddenly one morning Raju brought for us a cigarette brand which we had never heard of, till that point of time. Something called as Peter Stuyvesant. So I don't know whether he remembers that cigarette. Sharad, of course, was an inspiration to all of us as someone who was 1 year junior to you all. Jyotika was my registrar in one of the allied posts I did in ENT. And that was her courtship period with Dr. Shevde. And the reason I remember that phase was that as a junior houseman, both Shevde was my lecturer and Jyotika my registrar. They would leave me and run away. And as a junior houseman, I did not know anything. I did not know how to do a tracheostomy. So every time I was called to the MICU, as it used to be called, I was left stranded because I had no idea how a tracheostomy was to be done. And that is where Ashik came to my help. He was my co-houseman, and he taught me many of these procedures. So each and every face that I see in the audience today, I have some memory or the other to associate with you all. Now, the reason I stand before you today is to give you a little introduction to the Global Alumni Association that we run. See, the Alumni Association always existed. It's not as if we started the association. It is just that between 1990 and 2005, somehow the association went into some kind of a dormant phase, and we did not have much activity. So around 2005, some of us like Sharad, Dr. Ajit Desai, Dr. Eric Boges, Dr. Kalyan Iyer, Dr. Hitesh Parekh, etc., we came together and we decided to revive the organization. And the various landmarks that we achieved, or the various activities that we conducted during these 18 years is what I am trying to project here on the screen. I'll be very brief. I'll not go through all the the donations, etc. But briefly I'll touch upon various activities of the association. We have spent almost 6.5 crore Indian rupees on upgrading various facilities and giving various donations to TN Medical College and Vivial Nair Hospital. And as I go ahead, we have not included a very important donation in this 6.5 crores, and that is a donation worth almost 10 crores, which I have a special slide for that, so I'll come to that a little later. The first reunion we held after we revived the organization was in 2005, and those of you who will remember, the person sitting on the left is Dr. M.S. Kekre, our dean, Dr. Oak, and the person who is peeping from behind is Dr. L.H. Hiranandani. It's not a very clear picture, but these are the stalwarts who have helped us, and you'll be surprised to know that Dr. M.S. Kekre, though he's almost 95 now, 95 years old, he still keeps calling me and inquiring about how the Alumni Association is doing. So these are the people who have guided us, who have been our well-wishers right through the journey. Then we had a reunion in London, which was in 2007. Now, just to give you a brief idea, in a cycle of 4 reunions, what we do is we hold one reunion in Mumbai city, one in North America, that is US or Canada, one in UK, and one again in Bombay. So in a cycle of 4 reunions, we have 2 taking place in Mumbai, one in North America, and one in Europe. Of course, these were the reunions which we held subsequently, and Deepak has been a part of it. Deepak Patel, Dr. Bakhai has been a part of many of those reunions. So they will remember the time we spent together in US, in UK, in various other places. Again, one more reunion. This was, I think the inauguration of Anatomy Museum. This museum was sponsored by Dr. K.C. Mehta. He gave a large donation and we created a digitized museum where we had multiple computer points, where we had various, digitized aids to learn anatomy through computers and through various digitized means. This is something which unfortunately, because of the development work which is going on in the college building, you may not be able to see all this, but I would have loved you to go around and see the kind of work the alumni have done to upgrade the facilities, to the kind of donations we have given to upgrade the teaching aids, etc. We have been donating a lot of equipment to the college building also. Like here you can see we donated 5 dialysis machines, each costing about 6 lakh rupees to the nephrology department of Nair Hospital. And this was of course courtesy US Alumni Association. Something about the boys' common room. Now this is one place where, if you remember, our common room used to be on first floor. And this was a kind of lounge where we all relaxed, where we all sat down. And there are so many memories associated with the common room, both boys as well as girls' common room. I can see a huge big smile on Raju's face as he remembers the days when he played table tennis in the common room. Deepak Patel, carom board, cards, cardologists, that's right, the cardologists of our college. Then the lockers, the rickety lockers that you and me that was our only possession, if you remember. That is where we kept our aprons and our books and our valuables, so to say. So when we took over in 2005, we were told that the common room was not in a very good condition. It was in a very rickety condition, and no good chairs, no good carom boards. And so what we did was, the first thing we did after we took over was to renovate the common room. And of course the common room is no more on first floor, it's on ground floor now. And you can see the difference between the common room which you and me used to use and the common room which they have now. This is of course the boys' common room, and next to it is also a girls' common room where similar facilities have been provided to them. Then we created certain auditoriums, certain seminar halls, certain lecture halls, small ones. The large auditorium is of course there, which takes care of large functions. But we created many auditoria where, small meetings of 80 doctors or students, 30, 40, 50 doctors and students can take place easily. This is, we donated a few flexible laryngoscopes to anesthesia department. This is, I don't know how many of you remember, we had, from my batch, we had one Dr. Rakesh Sinha, who is unfortunately no more now. And his family decided to donate a 3D camera system to the gynec department, which was worth about 45 lakhs. And it is still in use here. And the gynec department is training its students in 3D cameras and laparoscopic gynec work. So this was the occasion when Dr. Rakesh Sinha's family donated a 3D camera system to the gynec department of Nair Hospital. Now the staff room, again, the staff room which TN Medical College had, unfortunately was in a very bad shape. Again, the peeling color on the walls, the peeling paint, I mean, the rickety chairs, and it was in a very bad, pitiable condition. So we immediately took over and renovated the entire common room. And this is what the staff common room looks like now. Another very important project which we managed was this autism center. the pediatrics department of Nair and the psychiatry department, they came together and they requested us to create an autism center. Now, these autistic children had nowhere to go when it came to general hospitals or public hospitals. There were certain private autism centers in the city, but unfortunately for the unaffording class, there were none. Again, this is where we came into picture. We donated a large amount of money and created a facility for autistic children. Donation of ureteroscopes to urology department. This was the Golden Jubilee reunion of 1969 batch. Like how you are celebrating your 50 years. This was 1969 batch which came together and had a bash here first within the college, and then again they travelled somewhere else and spent 2 nights together there. I think they also went to Alibag, like how you're travelling tomorrow. We created a small seminar hall called KN Dastur Seminar Hall, and the reason I projected this slide is to show you Dr. K.C. Mehta was a part of that function at that time. Dr. Modi was there, Dr. H.G. Desai was there, Dr. Ratna Magotra you can see in the second row. So many of these people have been standing up with us and helping us do the good work that the alumni are doing. And of course, the centenary celebrations which happened or which took place about a couple of years ago. As you know, the college was established in 1921. And as Dr. Sudhir Medekar, our dean, told you, that we are the oldest medical school in the city after JJ, after GMC. Many people have this impression that GS is older to us in terms of the years that have gone by. But that's right. Many people mistake that heritage building for the fact that that is the oldest medical college, but they are not. We are the oldest medical school when it comes to the municipal colleges after there is GMC. And during this centenary celebration, we have had many functions. And I don't know where Nandita is, but I can see Nandita here. I can see Sharad. Another important landmark of this function was we released one of the books which Sharad has authored. It's a book called Surgery, Tools, Craft and Craftsmen, right? That is what I think the book is titled. And it is authored by Dr. Sharad Shenoy. Beautiful book. A book, which is a kind of Bible for medical students when it comes to surgery and learning surgery. So this was the occasion on which his book was released, the centenary function. These are a few slides of the centenary celebrations that we had. Yes, now this is the slide I talked about in the beginning. If you remember the days when COVID struck us in the city, or in this, globally rather, and we were surprised to find out that there was not one genome sequencing lab in Mumbai. It was very unfortunate that we had to send the samples to Hyderabad, to Pune, to Delhi and to all other places in the country. And we did not have one single genome sequencing lab in the city. Now that is when again Sharad activated someone called Dr. Mehul Mehta, who is in Harvard, Boston. And he's also our alumnus from 1977 batch, right Sharad? Now these people from the US, they mobilized certain donors, they mobilized certain companies, and they all made sure that we could start a genome sequencing lab. So the first and only genome sequencing lab of the city was started in Kasturba Hospital, thanks to the alumni, and more thanks to people like Dr. Sharad Shenoy and Dr. Mehul Mehta. This project was worth 10 crores. 10 crores was spent on this project, but we were able to give a very good genome sequencing lab, which helped in diagnostics, in therapeutics, in developing vaccine, etc., etc. But we, in that sense, had a huge role to play when it came to management of COVID during those bad days. Now, where do we go from here? Well, as the slide says, we still have miles to go. These were just a few milestones in TGA's recent history, and we have many more planned projects that we intend to execute as we go along. We follow a very simple policy. It is the policy of care and share. We realize that every alumnus is thankful to what the mother institution has given us. Whatever little name, whatever little fame we have is all thanks to TNMC, TN Medical College. And we would now like to give back in form of caring and sharing. Whatever resources we have, whatever finances we have, we would like to share it with TN Medical College and Nair Hospital. And we promise to care not only for the college, but for the alumni, for the present crop of students, and for our teachers. So in that sense, our commitment is to care and share for the college, for the hospital, for the alumni, and for the students. Thank you very much.
Right? Chitra has also been in my batchmate in those clinical terms. Utmost sincere student, and I was the one who used to keep on distracting her by not letting her pay attention. So she has got some kind of a vindictiveness against me, but that's all right. She will speak for me also.
Good morning. I'm delighted to be here and quite nostalgic too. I'm here to tell the life story of our colleague, Dr. Shubhangi Asnikar, and she also happens to be my best friend in medical college. So if I can have the slide, please. This is Dr. Shubhangi Asnikar, whom I was telling you was my best friend in medical college. She was known popularly as Rani. This is a 1974 photograph of hers. And the next one, that is Dr. Shashikant, who is her husband. Well, this is a recent photograph of his. The next one, please. Okay. Now, this was a questionnaire put on the notice board of Aurangabad Medical College. Shashi and his friends, they sort of asked the students, did they know their birth history? How was their umbilical cord cut? Was it crushed with a stone, as it so often happens in our hinterland? See? And the students were intrigued with the question, and they did pour into the meeting venue. And what followed was a brainstorming session of young medical-to-be graduates who discussed passionately as to what could really be the realities of the real world outside your medical college, your alma mater. What exactly is what we are facing in our hinterland? So the next. So after this brainstorming session, it slowly coalesced into a core group of committed medical doctors who called their organization as HALO, that is Health and Auto Learning. And the auto learning, just signals there is so many things which is so different practically from your classrooms and all that you learn. So before I come to the HMS part of it, I'd like to tell you that any organization, if you're starting one, you will need some kind of finances. And what they did was, these medical doctors, this core group, that they formed from there, they're the ones, for whom the lure of a very lucrative practice in the city held no charm. They just wanted to be where they were really needed. And what they did, they pulled their resources, they took some, and they borrowed mostly from friends, not from relatives. And that is how this HALO, that is Health and Autologous Learning Organization, came into being. And before I go to how it went into an HMF, let me go to the next slide, please. This earthquake, I'm sure probably some seniors would probably remember. It was a devastating earthquake. Latur was the epicenter. And here it is where Dr. Rani and her husband and the group of HALO doctors, they dug their heels in, they worked tirelessly, And in life में जैसे कहते हैं ना कोई एक मोड़ आ जाता है. And for these doctors, their work started getting recognized. And that is when, accolades followed, and they were catapulted into good recognition from the government, because they became like a bridge, between what the government, the private donors were giving, that you should really reach the needy. And for me personally, I have been witness to how this couple have really worked on. Now, meanwhile, I will talk about the HMF. Rani had finished her DGO from Aurangabad, and Dr. Shashi had finished his DA by the time. And I was also married off, and I was working in the Ministry of Health, Sultanate of Oman. So Rani was in her Khudawadi village, Khudawadi it is called there. And I was, not exactly in the big city of, capital city of Muscat. I was in the Bedouin tribal area of the Desert Kingdom. So from there, I have been a witness to see this Hallow group grow from strength to strength to become what is a Hallow Medical Foundation. See? And it's quite a, if you Google, you will find HMF, and you can get all the details about this. So, personally, for me, being a witness, on this point, I would like to tell all the young medical students here that if you have a vision, you have some leadership skills, and you have some administrative abilities also, then money is not a constraint. From Oxfam, you have our own very own Tatas, the Ciplas. There are so many philanthropic organizations who would want to see that their money is well spent, morally, ethically. And it is possible to run such a big, people who started from really scratch to start and run a medical foundation called like HMF. Can we go to the next slide, please? For the paucity of time, and I've been told that I have to cram it into this 10 minutes, I will just, make a list of all the activities that, this HMF has done. The first one you can see is Bharat Vaidya. This is a concept, of barefoot doctors. If there is a video there that it can be played, it's okay. I think since we have time is a constraint, we will skip that video. There you will find, see, they picked up young women. What did they teach them? How to record your BP, how to keep a weight chart, how you do it with a dipstick, your urine albumin, how would you do a finger prick and do your hemoglobin. And these women, they're from the village. If you have that video, if it runs on, a woman from the village talking about the pituitary gland. That entire anatomy was drawn on a chalk on the floor of. There are Bharat Vaidyas. So this is how, of course, this is a concept of barefoot doctors, where, the services go door to door and reach out to every nook. Otherwise, it's very difficult in India to really reach nook and corners. The women, they got their self-worth, and, they were confident enough to do this. And I'm told that ASHA, that your ASHA worker, from our NRHM, your National Rural Health Mission, that is accredited social activist. This was modeled on this Bharat Vaidya, where this doctor couple started. Next one, in the same gist, previous one. Self-help group that is written there. See, finances are equally important. You can't lecture about health and nutrition to people on an empty stomach. So what they started was Bachat group, savings. So women, they started small little like cooperative banks. They could give loans. And from there, and I can tell you there were no defaulters in this kind of small schemes that they started. Science center for students. The schools in the villages, they hardly had anything that you could call like a science laboratory. What did they do? They started a science center for them right in their campus. And I have been a witness there. My husband, my father who have been there, we are taught sometimes there. The young students, the children, they're so curious, so much, for them, where they can, firsthand start doing these experiments, which they are only learning in the textbooks in the rural schools. Then is the health insurance. first time this couple brought in normal deliveries under the ambit of insurance claims. Of course, the health insurance people, definitely resisted, but they were prevailed upon. So women did not really take the risk of delivering in their homes. They actually went to the hospital, and that brings on your maternity mortality rates. The next put in a nursing college, it was a game changer. As far as the village, the girls, young girls in the village, they didn't have to leave their city to go, their villages to go to the cities to get an education. They could do their A&Ms, their courses, they got into government jobs, and they really did well. I have personally taught in these schools. My last stint was just about a year back, where, when I keep visiting Rani, we, at least the high risk obstetrics and things like this, I cover in that portion. You see, they have the regular teachers, but a lot of volunteer doctors do come in and pitch in to help out in these kind of institutions. My friend Rani, because there is a question everybody is asking, why Rani is not here? She's still grieving. It is a loss, which her husband, her life companion, made a very hurried exit out of this world. And I would like to say that, they are a couple worth emulating. There is so much, if you believe, as I do, that we are blessed to be doctors, to be whatever there may be, the rat race and things like that. And as medical professionals, there is so much to receive and so much to give. Thank you for your patient hearing.
इसके अलावा कार्यक्रम में अपने विचारों का एवं ज्ञान का आदान प्रदान भी हुआ।
I have labeled my talk as backwaters then, frontliners in the making. When I was in Mumbai and I was a Nayarite, so we had all the pleasures of a mega city, and there were hardly any adversaries excepting too much of crowd. But when you have to move out of this mega city to a smaller place like Kolhapur, which was a developing township, not even developed. So what happened to me? I don't have any organization, or I did not set up anything. I would like to tell the young folks, as an individual, what you can do in your life as a private practice, or else what you can do. Next slide, please. I bring to you the blessings from Goddess Mahalakshmi. Kolhapur is considered as Dakshin Kashi, so I bring to you the blessings. Next, please. Teachings which I have remembered forever from Nair were great teachers. Dr. Shanbag sir, Dr. V.R. Doshi sir, Dr. Soni sir. What he said, Dr. Shanbag used to say, when you are in two minds, whether to ask or not to ask the senior any question, always better to ask. I do that. I think important. Dr. Vyajay used to tell us, every patient tells you something. Be open-minded and learn. Don't treat the reports. Dr. Sonaji had told me once. Don't treat CPK MB report, treat the patient. Listen to the patient. Simplicity pays a lot of dividends. Next slide, please. When you are growing after your post-graduation, it's a part of your life that you are a doctor. It's not the full life. You are growing as a doctor. You are growing by establishing your family. You are growing with social connections. You are growing with your passions, with your hobbies. So just now someone said, I think Dr. Yogesh said that, always have passions along with your medical field. What I think is most important for everybody, not only doctor, accept, adjust, assimilate and associate. If you follow these four, very difficult of course, very easily said than done. Next slide please. So when I got married to Dr. Harshit, he's a psychiatrist, did his psychiatric in Vijay Medical College, Pune. So I had no choice but to move to Kolhapur because it was his hometown. But let me tell you all, I never wanted to stay in Bombay after post-graduation. So that came true. In our times, everybody wanted, almost 20% of the girls wanted to go to outside, Western countries. But I don't know, somehow I never felt it. And fortunately, I did not have to go, but I had to go to Kolhapur. I accepted Kolhapur as my new hometown with grace. I never repented it even today, not even in 1 second. I'm quiet, very clean at that time and very, very green. I don't know quite a few of you have visited Kolhapur because the last reunion was in Kolhapur. Challenges did I have? Yes, there were challenges. To move into a small township with no amenities, don't have British council, big libraries, nothing. No social life whatsoever. Staying in a big joint Orthodox family was a greater challenge for me. It tested my nerves, but then I think I have excelled in it. Starting my consulting practice was relatively easier because we could just rent a place and start it. Next, please. Were there adversities? In a small township, there are adversities which a metro man or metro person may not be able to understand. First of all, a physician was not rated as a physician because they don't know what the physician does. So on my hospital, what I had written was, in Marathi I will tell you, potache, hrudayache, fufusache doctor. That's what I had to write. That's what MD medicine meant. But nowadays, of course, things have changed. Population lacked the sophistication which is needed for consultation. Our pathology labs that time were just doing basic pathology. Serum electrolyte I used to send outside, that's to mirrors. That was the situation. I'll tell you what happened. Only X-rays, few X-rays and sometimes barium studies and IVP, which is now not relevant at all, were done. There were dearth of oxygen. Psychiatry patients required ECTs. We had to have oxygen cylinders, but we used to fight for oxygen cylinders. Things have changed dramatically. All acute cases like MI and strokes had to be shifted to mirrors. 50 kilometers, I remember I have taken the saline bottle with me. I'm bringing saline, put him in a taxi, I am going to mirrors. I've done myself or my staff. There were only 2 psychiatric hospitals at that time. Next, please. Social adversities. What was there, but absolutely non-functional. Fortunately, it is functioning now for the last 2-3 years. No communication facilities. You won't know, the young folks won't know what trunk call is meant by, but we had to book a trunk call and it used to take hours to talk to anybody. Absolutely no social media, out of question. Advanced treatment was beyond the means of a common person. So this was the adversities. In spite of that, I must say with pride that whatever this institution taught me and whatever I could learn from this institution was sufficient to address the patient's issues. Are there any pluses? Yes, of course there were pluses. There were short distances, a radius of 3 kilometers we were moving in, so it was just very, very possible to move to a consulting room, to other hospitals, very easier. I cannot imagine. Very grateful. Our patients used to be very grateful. They would always bring something from their farms, kansa until tandoor until. I have not experienced this in Mumbai. Mild manner and trusting. Doctors were considered demigod, but that's not true, of course. And there was no cutthroat competition. Our medical community in Kolhapur was so intricate and we were respectful to each other. I think my colleagues will appreciate. Even in Mumbai at that time, maybe it must be the same. Next step. Important, I think, was the Consumer Protection Act, which was applicable to doctor later on, was not there initially. So mutual trust and mutual respect for the doctor was there.
It's the supreme art of the teacher to awaken the joy in creative expression and knowledge. This was mentioned by Albert Einstein. This is very true for my teacher and mentor, Dr. V.R. Joshi, who has been spoken about by Gayatri and even Sharad. He is the most important person in my life after my wife. In the olden days also, origins of rheumatology was found in the form of gout and OA. Changes of ankylosing spondylitis in 3000 years old mummy was also found at that time. Maharshi Charak, in the period of 200 BC, wrote a book on Charak Samhita, which is an ancient book of Indian medicine, and there is a vivid description of various forms of arthritis. So arthritis was known from that time. And between 1497 and 1558, a French physician provided first modern description of rheumatism and arthritis. Significant progress in the field of rheumatology took place in the 20th century, and in 1940 was the first time when the word rheumatologist was coined, and 1948 was a landmark year because the Ellis cell phenomenon, rheumatoid factor, and introduction of corticosteroid was happening at that time, and Professor Philip Hench got the Nobel Prize for his introduction of steroids. Then ANA came, and 1970 HLA-B27 was identified as the genetic marker for ankylosing spondylitis. Things changed over years. 1948, as I mentioned, the corticosteroid was introduced in the treatment of rheumatological problem. 1963 saw allopurinol for gout. 1968, methotrexate was approved for the first time by US FDA, and then things went on. The most remarkable development took place in the year 2000 when TNF-alpha blocker was introduced by Professor Maini, an Indian origin doctor in UK, and he also got a Nobel Prize, and then the series of biological therapies have come in. These are the few pioneers in Indian rheumatology you should be aware about. Late Dr. M.M. Desai started the rheumatology clinic in Nair Hospital for the first time, and there are late Dr. S.C. Sheth, Dr. Devdhar, Dr. Pispati, Dr. Tirve, Dr. Malaviya at present, Dr. V.R. Joshi and Chandrasekharan are still very active in the field of rheumatology in India. In 1959, the first rheumatology clinic was started in Nair Hospital under the leadership of late Dr. M.M. Desai. 1963, CIPAL, now it is known as EPLAR, India was the founding member of that association. 1968, we had the first CIPAL conference held in Mumbai, and in 1971, the first National Conference of Rheumatology was again held in Mumbai. So Mumbai is a very important place in rheumatology. In 1982, I passed my MD Medicine, and from 1984, my journey as a rheumatologist started under the mentorship of Dr. V.R. Joshi, and in 1987, I joined Nanavati Hospital. The musculoskeletal disorders are very prevalent in India, and about 15 to 20% of Indian population have some rheumatological problem, and it is one of the most major cause of morbidity in India. And only the 20% of patients who have rheumatological problem are seen early in their course of illness. Majority of them are seen after many years, but it's very important to make a diagnosis of rheumatological disorders early in the course of disease to prevent structural damage to the affected organ and to reduce the morbidity. And at one time, rheumatology was not given importance, but today virtually no branch of medicine that does not interact with rheumatology. Every medical college, every private hospital in city of Mumbai now have rheumatological department and rheumatologists attached. There is a lot of changes have taken place over years in the field of rheumatology. There is a progress in immunology, progress in molecular biology, genetics, and imaging have changed a lot of things in the field of rheumatology with USG, CT scan and MRI and the PET scan coming up. So there's a change in the perception in the treatment with availability of various investigative modality and therapeutic options that we have. At one time when I joined rheumatology in the year 1984, we used to give hydroxychloroquine for treatment of rheumatoid arthritis, and indomethacin was the only anti-inflammatory drug available at that time. Now from that time we used to feel the patient with arthritis does not die of the disease, but why give toxic medication? The whole concept has changed. People with severe rheumatoid arthritis may have significant morbidity and their longevity is also reduced. So with that concept in mind, there is a change in the therapeutic perception. We talk about early and aggressive therapy, and there is a window of opportunity where if you strike, you get a good prognosis. The surgical field also have improved significantly. Your arthroscopic synovectomy is done. When we were students, it was open surgery for synovectomy, which was associated with significant morbidity. The joint replacement, now everybody is aware, have changed the life of many crippled patients with arthritis. The bone and the joints were given so much importance that it was considered to be a bone and joint decade in the launch in 2000, which was endorsed by WHO as well. Though things have changed, but still we have a lot of challenges ahead in the field of rheumatology. We have problem with the drug safety. We don't have a specific medication to be given to a person. We are not able to prevent rheumatic disease either primarily or secondarily.
It's a great pleasure to meet you all today. 50 years is a long time. Some of them are meeting me for the first time after 40, 50 years. I'm very happy and excited about this. Now I'm going to talk on a topic which is not for my class. It's for the children, the budding doctors who are going to come up and then decide their course and the future in their life. So I have got a few things to tell them. Nowadays, you ask any boy, what do you plan to do? It's all right. What do you plan to do after MBBS? And I'm sure 99% of them will say, we want to do PG in this and PG in that. Of course, we need post-graduations in a lot of fields like orthopedics, cardiology and all. But the basic thing at your level is, if you are interested, the most important thing is medicine. Now, medicine, when you choose to practice medicine, it's a very vast subject. Just like Deepak Patel said, any surgery, orthopedic or cardiology, is like a mechanical surgery. You do 10 and then it's just you are working like a machine and you're doing your work. Whereas medicine is different. It is innovative. It keeps you, on your toes. You must be updated to be in practice, and you need a passion to become a good physician or a general practitioner. My message to these young boys is that all those who are planning to go into medicine, whether you're a general practitioner or an MD physician doesn't really matter much. If you are a general practitioner, if you update yourself, you're as good as an MD physician. Second thing is about the rat race. I would say that in Bombay we are oversaturated, but at the same time, just like our Prime Minister says that we need doctors, we are short of doctors. If you see the percentage of population to the doctors is much less. So I would always recommend these young boys, from wherever you are coming, think of practicing in Tier 2, Tier 3 cities. Don't be carried away by the glamour of Bombay. There are big opportunities in the smaller cities. Now, the third thing I want to tell you is that whether you're an MBBS or an MD doesn't matter. I would say that you start your practice right away after MBBS, rather than wasting 4 or 5 years of your life studying and becoming an MD. Because at the end of the day, it is your knowledge which counts, not your degree. The most important thing in practice which these young boys need to know is that first thing is the time management. you have to sit down with the patient, you have to understand their problems, and you have to be patient, hear them, you have to build a rapport with the patient, and you have to build a confidence with the patient. Unless you establish a trust in the patient, you are not a successful doctor. Patient is not interested in your diagnosis. He is not interested in what he is suffering from. He is more interested in knowing that his concerns are being addressed properly. So please remember, even in the colleges you have been taught that history is the most important thing. Go inside, there is a doctor sitting on the table and there is a bed. That's about all. That's not you have to be something different. I would recommend that if you go to a tier 2 or tier 3 city, have a 1,000 square feet clinic, well organized, with enough staff. You have a staff, who is well dressed, well mannered, talk to the patient, have an assistant, have a separate girl. She need not be a doctor who does all the work of the blood pressure, injection, dressing, all those things. And you have a doctor, assistant doctor working with you, who gives you a computerized prescription, which is so easy nowadays. You don't have to write down everything in detail. So all this saves your time, and there is enough time for you to talk to the patient and build confidence and the patient-doctor relationship. So time management is the most important thing in your practice, which I think all physicians need to know about it. And one more thing I want to tell you is that nowadays, we have a lot of mobile calls and a lot of Google reviews. The practice is changing. The young generation, the millenniums, don't go by references. They go by your Google reviews. So it's very important that you read your Google review, and if you have a bad review, you must address that review in a satisfactory way, because people are very smart now and there is a lot of technology available. So if the consultant depends on somebody to send in patients is not enough, you have to depend on Google, because the young generation I have seen in my practice, they always refer to a Google before going to a consultant. So Google reviews are very important. Mobile calls, always attend a mobile call. In case you miss a call, please call back. The patient feels very happy कि मेरे डॉक्टर ने मुझे वापस फोन करके मेरे साथ बात की. These are all very small things, but very important things in general practice or in medicine practice. So these are the few things you must remember about general practice. And second thing is that you have to be a sympathetic human being in order to be a good doctor.
Well, how are you all youngsters? Right? I mean, we got the youngsters and we got our 74 batch. We are still youngsters. It's quite humbling to be up here on the podium and being asked to talk about why I chose gastroenterology and how I ended up becoming a gastroenterologist and how it all started for me. So it's like going back 50 years and try to rethink as to what kindled the desire to do gastroenterology. Now, over the last 2 weeks that we have been gearing up to meet for this Golden Jubilee celebration of our starting at TNMC, I have read and heard so much about all of our classmates who have achieved so much and done so much that I feel like a dwarf up here when you all giants are down there. So what I would like to do is let's have a round of applause for the 74 batch. Thank you guys. So for me, if you look at the title of my talk, perhaps some of you, the students may be intrigued why my title was A Lifetime of Guts or A Lifetime in Guts. I think I even forget what it was put down as. So it's quite interesting because it all started when my daughter was, I think she must have been 15 at that time. And one day at the dinner table, she tells me, "Dad, I see so many car registration plates with MD plates, but how come you don't have MD plates? You have your ordinary regular plates." So I said, "That's true, sweetheart." So she tells me, you should get a different MD plate too. I said, okay, something to think about. What would you do? So she said, Dad, you should have MD guts or Dr. Guts. I said, okay. I think that's a good thought, but we'll give it some thought and we'll think about it. Of course, I never got around to doing it. I still don't have MD plates, and we left it at that, and she's forgotten about it too. But I must tell you about my story. I consider myself born in the house of guts. Because TNMC, and I'm sure not many of 1974 batch know this, that it was Dr. F.P. Andhia who started the most famous and leading gastroenterology department right here at TNMC, even before most of us were born. So we go back to way before 1954, 1955, that TNMC has been famous for a GI department. And after Dr. F.P. Andhia retired, Dr. H.G. Desai took over. And all of us remember Dr. H.G. Desai well. And I mean, he was my teacher, he was my mentor, and he was my spark that made me get into gastroenterology. Now, it all started very innocently because, I was very friendly, and all of us in our 74 batch were very friendly with the 73 batch and the 72 batch. And the 73 batch were all getting ready to go to the US. And everybody was talking about giving ECFMG. And I said, okay, I mean, that's great. Everybody in 72, they went in the US, they went on a tourist visa, they got a residency in medicine and all. I said, okay, sounds pretty interesting. So maybe I should look into that too. So it went along, and then my dad says, oh, son, you know what? My dad used to work for Air India. So the biggest work was getting a free ticket. And the biggest joke with all of our friends, Deepak Patel and Kamlesh Parekh and Dhawal Shah, God bless his soul, we lost him at a very early age. And I'm sure most of us will be talking about our departed souls. They used to tell me, Sunil, tell your dad कि हमको adopt करे 1 साल के लिए. 1 साल के लिए adopt करे कि मेरे को भी free ticket मिल जाए, मैं घूम के आऊँ कहीं. So that used to be the nice joke. So I get on the Air India plane to go to New York. And there's a Time magazine sticking out of the seat in front of me. And I pick up the Time magazine, and the cover is full of colonoscopes take over the US. And it's a thin, flexible tube, and how it was changing the face of medicine. It had just started about 2-3 years before we started medical school. And how it had become a therapeutic tool, and how people were doing the colonoscopy and taking out precancerous polyps and preventing colon cancer. I said, oh, this is great. This is detective work right up my alley. This looks very interesting. Maybe I should look into it. And nothing like TNMC, because I already know it's a great GI center. So I come back and I ask my seniors for help. How do I get to Dr. H.G. Desai? I need to let him know about my thing. And of course, our seniors were always so helpful, and they guided me. And they told me, this is how you do it. And then I met with Dr. H.G. Desai. And when you meet Dr. H.G. Desai, that's it. You are stuck with him. He will tell you the most amazing thing. He will tell you the most beautiful thing. And he will make you so, I don't think he was the type of person who would ever turn a student down. He knew exactly how to kindle the desire, how to inspire people. And he kept throwing things at me. He would tell me, read up gastritis, read up this. And you know what? He was the recipient of the biggest ever award the Indian Society of Medicine ever gave to anybody, and that was because of his pioneering work on gastritis. And I still have his books in my library at home, which I cherish. Even I read today, it is still relevant even today, 45 years later. So, for me, it was like one thing led to the other. And then I said, you know what? And Dr. H.G. Desai had applied for starting the first DM program at Nair Hospital. And he was telling me about the difficulties involved, and he had put together an amazing proposal to the University of Bombay.
Sunil, 8 minutes.
Yeah, and then he was approved. But then there were administrative hassles, and there were financial hassles and whatnot. So of course the usual rigmarole went through. But then I had a backup plan, and he encouraged me. I had a backup plan about going to the US. So I followed my seniors and I told them, listen. And they said, ECFMG is going to come to an end soon. You better hurry up. don't worry, we'll help you. And they kept throwing books at me, you go read it. And then I ended up reading physiotherapy while I was still second MBBS, and luckily we all got through. And we all got through, and then when I graduated from my third MBBS, ECFMG was no longer viable. They said, now you're going to be visa qualified. So again, I had to be visa qualified, and by the grace of God, things worked out. And I ended up in the US, and I was able to do a medical residency for 3 years with my MD in medicine. And then I was fortunate enough to get a GR fellowship. And guess who came to New York to congratulate me on my passing my gastrointestinal fellowship? It was also MD. And he came to the US, he spent time with me, he spent 3-4 days with me, and it was the most amazing experience ever. So for me, like all of you have been talking, I feel the most, when I wake up every morning, I'm so excited to wake up. So when people talk about burnout, I don't think I even know this kind of burnout. So I tell my patients, they look at me and they say, you know what, this one retired and that one retired and all, and they look at me, you don't look like you're going to retire. I said, you got your time.
It's a great pleasure to be there with just standing here after 50 years. I think the feeling is undescribable. I have a slightly different journey than my other colleagues, so I just touch upon that. So, how a medical insight, what a medical doctor does in a pharma industry. I think my experience has been in the pharma industry. So, what the role a medical doctor can play. I'm not a pharmaceutical chemist, neither I am a pharmaceutics person. So, how new products are important for pharma industry. So, how those new products can come from medical insight is what I am going to just touch upon. So translational medicine is a science, where you turn an idea into a product. So this is actually this requires not only medical insight, but it also requires a regulatory science knowledge. And in international universities, you have chairs for translational medicine. We learn it in pharma industry. So the odds are not very good. So it is not easy for Indian companies because we are basically resource constrained compared to the multinationals. So you need to see the other option. So we can't deal with the drugs which are under patent. So we look into drugs which are already off patent, which are called as generics. So you need to have a good insight of the disease, and you need to have a good insight of the treatment of that disease, and you need to find the therapy gap. So that's the crucial thing, is to find the therapy gap. Just knowledge of disease is not going to help you to innovate. Knowledge of therapy is not going to innovate. So you need to have both insight, then you can innovate and see what you can do. So I'll just give example of four projects which we conceived, and then these are already there in clinical. People are already prescribing them. They have been successful. So first is when I joined this company, the promoters asked me to that we want to launch an NSAID anti-analgesic drug. So at that time, people were into COX-2 inhibitors. So Merck Sharp & Dohme has just launched Rofecoxib, and it was compared to naproxen. So highly selective COX-2 inhibitor was launched to prevent the GI side effects of NSAIDs. So, but what happened was there was a GI safety was there, but it came at the cost of cardiovascular safety. So this is where I thought that you need not be non-selective, you need not be highly selective. So I looked after a drug which was aceclofenac there in the Europe. So I launched it, did a phase 3 study, and introduced this drug in India. Today it is the largest selling oral NSAID in India. And the subsequent studies proved that it is safer as compared to other drugs. This is GI safety head-to-head comparison with the diclofenac at 21 medical colleges across India, which we carried out, and we showed that it is better than diclofenac. So once daily preparation, which appeared, our study appeared in the official journal of American Pain Society. Then this is a combination study with muscle relaxant tizanidine in low back pain, and this also was referred to in American College of Physicians 2017 guideline. Our study was referred to. this is a combination of aceclofenac with paracetamol and then aceclofenac with dotaverine, which came in the official journal of European Obstetric and Gynec Society. So this was the first concept. The next concept I'm going to talk about is low dose chlorthalidone, which a drug which I used to use in Nair Hospital as a resident in the dose of 25 and 50 milligram, but the drug disappeared. So there was an all-head study was published. So how, on looking at this study, I conceived this project is the idea which I am going to share with you, is that in this, the newer antihypertensives like AC inhibitors, calcium channel blockers were compared to a 60-year-old product, chlorthalidone. And chlorthalidone came, this is the largest hypertension trial done till date, all over 42,000 patients. So chlorthalidone came better than the newer drugs. So I was the only commercial taker for this research. So I conceived a 6.25 milligram dose and then did a series of studies. This study is the first combination of angiotensin receptor blocker with chlorthalidone, and I traveled to US to collect a new investigator travel award for this study. This is the 24 hours ambulatory blood pressure head-to-head comparison of 12.5 hydrochlorothiazide with 6.25 chlorthalidone. And what we noticed was that after 10 p.m. hydrochlorothiazide loses its antihypertensive efficacy while this drug continued to work. So this trial was published in Journal of American College of Cardiology, and subsequently it appeared in 2 chapters of Braunwald. So that was a very gratifying moment, if you say, when your own study appears in 2 chapters of Braunwald, which you refer to when you are student. Third concept is, I think, is a drug very widely used in rheumatoid arthritis. So this is a study from University of Pittsburgh, where they've carried out a prospective observational study where 5,000 rheumatoid arthritis patients were followed up for next 22 years. Not everybody in rheumatoid arthritis gets prescribed hydroxychloroquine. So here 3 groups were there: those patients who got hydroxychloroquine for 4 years or more, those who were not prescribed hydroxychloroquine, and those who were prescribed it less than 4. So we can see that the risk of being diabetic in the next 22 years goes down by 77% as compared to those who are not prescribed hydroxychloroquine. So this was very intriguing to me. I think it is very interesting that it is preventing diabetes. So then I conceived a phase 3 study for this drug. It is mainly an anti-inflammatory drug and showed that it is as good as pioglitazone. And then this drug was approved in type 2 diabetes in India. So diabetes is now considered as an inflammatory disease, not just a metabolic or vascular disease. So inflammation, chronic low-grade inflammation is what is there in diabetes, which is also responsive for complications of diabetes. So this is the third project which I wanted to just... So then I took an intellectual property on this concept, and you can see it prevented statin-induced diabetes and various NFLD, NASH, and various other concepts which patent was taken. So last concept is still under development, but we have proved the proof of concept has been done by us, and it is still under development. Clopidogrel is a drug which is antiplatelet drug, and clopidogrel is black box warning is there on this drug, that people who are deficient in CYP2C19 P450 enzyme, oxide-metabolizing enzymes. So you find that 30% patients are not, the drug is not effective.
टोपीवाला नेशनल मेडिकल कॉलेज के आज के स्टूडेंट की ओर से कॉफी विद हेराल्ड ये मजेदार खेल खेला गया.
So without further ado, if all of our panelists are ready, we can go on with the segment. Is that right? Okay, great. So first round will be Nair kicked in. This can be likened to a sort of rapid fire round. The way that it will proceed is I will direct a question to each of our panelists. Panelists have to answer the question in under 3 seconds. You have to answer it instantaneously, spontaneously, and with the first thing that comes to your mind. So I have my beloved junior over here. He'll be keeping a track of the time. You'll have 3 seconds to answer. The first time that you are unable to answer, yours will be given a warning. And if you are unable to answer the second time, you will be declared out of the round and the rest of the panelists will have to keep continuing. Okay, could you elaborate on that?
Because I used to come from Vietnam, walk all the way to Nayak, even in rain or floods, we used to walk from Vietnam to Nayak, and we used to come without any difficulty and always attended the Nayak event. Although not in the lecture theatre.
Nice. Also, special thank you for you to immediately don the cap that we've given you. Please give a round of applause to Sir for that.
To hide my baldness.
Right. Moving on to Fakir sir. What was your most feared subject?
My most feared subject was anatomy.
Okay, why anatomy? So sir, as soon as you entered college, you would be afraid by anatomy because that is the first subject that they taught?
No, I found it difficult to remember things.
Okay, fine.
It didn't seem to have any reason behind it.
Okay. Okay, then passing on to Dr. Shenoy, next question. Tell us about a professor from Nayar you still remember in a term.
Dr. B.R. Joshi was one of the most exemplary teachers of Kerala. His teaching on any subject in medicine, whether it be rheumatology, cardiology, general medicine, pulmonology, he was just superlative. And his method of analysis of a condition, I put it into my practice too, and that teaching has remained with me forever.
Okay.
So, non-orthopedic subject.
Okay. So, non-orthopedic subject, could you elaborate on that?
Why? Because orthopedic was so old, so specialty those days. And so I said everybody knows this way or more than one medicine was so one subject. So internal medicine people are part of orthopedic. We were just born with two neurons. One for answer, second one for data.
Right, okay. Next question. So, what's a skill no one can beat you with?
Breathing cows.
Now, next question. So, what one word would you use to describe the kind of student you were and why?
Actually, absent and attending classes here. All the sitting there.
Okay. Next slide will be directed to Dr. Khubchandani sir. Sir, can you recognize anybody in this picture?
So I got a 10-month job with a local lecturer, ran out in maternity already. So Rajesh Munya, my student, was getting married. I was being like, Sanjay Desai was another student. Sanjay, then me in the middle, then Larry, Rajesh Rathani and child, and then these are all my students who become orthopedic surgeon, and that number 1, 2, 3, 4 and more.
Okay, great. Now next slide. This is directed to Dr. Uday Ahmed sir. Sir, do you recognize any of the floating heads?
I recognize Sharad, I recognize Vivek, Subodh, Vikas, Dinesh, Meenu Antia, Sati, Mohan Soni,
Yeah, all of the students.
So I recognize most of them, except this one.
Two things that I've said about this story. If you recollect, out of the 10 people here, one of them was missing. 10, 11 is a team. Out of the 10 people, 8 of one, all of them from my batch. All of them. All these 8, are there. On this side, that Delia who's sitting in the audience, that's Vikas, that's Subodh, that's Satish, that's Mohan Soni, Vivek Rege, and that's myself, that's Ashok Patel, and Ravi Nayak. Yeah. He was the substitute goalkeeper, Narkari was the main goalkeeper. The second story about this is that we used to use the costume for the speedo costume in those. Speedo was one of the rituals, and only expensive, it was one of the most expensive costumes in those shows. And outdoor secretary was Uday Atta. And he went to the VP and said, we need some swimming costumes for the operators. And so Dr. Mungekar was the vice president, he was a surgeon. He was a very peculiar kind of accent. And he asked him, "Kitni kimmat hai ji?" So he said, it's about 75 rupees. And 75 rupees, that's what I was saying, 7,500. There was comparison today, 7,000 or 10,000 today. And Mungekar burst out over there, 75 rupees, एक चट्टी सटी.
इस कार्यक्रम का अनुभव इस तरह साझा किया.
Today we have met after so many years for the TNMC college reunion, and on this occasion I just went down the memory lane. 50 years that we have been together, and on this occasion I would like to say a few words, my thoughts. One is that the present generation, the students who are doing medicine just now, my advice to them is one, that yes, career is there, your studies, your future plans are there, but along with that you have to also take part in many other activities, sort of prepare for your retirement life, enjoy life just now, because by the time you're through, that you reach our stage, then to pick up some new hobbies or new this thing is limited. So enjoy yourself, start working on it from now. Along with your studies, other things also can be done.
We started our studies in 1974, and today it's 50 years. 50 golden years, I would say, of the reunion today at the Nair Hospital where we started our journey. A reunion time is a great time of joy, recollecting the memories of the past with the hopes of tomorrow. Meeting our old friends from various walks, from various parts of the world, it's been a real rejoice, a dream come true. I was working at the ENT hospital as a histopathologist, and I also have my own pathology laboratory. But today, it's a special day for me, catching up with all my old friends, reviving all old memories. It's a real pure nostalgia. And the next 2 days, where we'll be all together at Alibag, it'll be really fun. It's high time now. We should realize we give back to the society. Whatever Nair has given us, we have to return back to the society in the form of helping through the NGOs, the society poor sections who are devoid of basic medical care. Thank you.
And I am from this 1974 batch of TNMC Nair. I'm extremely happy कि 50 साल के बाद हम आए हैं यहाँ पर और सबके साथ मिल रहे हैं. और मैं इतना मैं क्या कह सकती हूँ कि खाली OBGY को मैंने अब तकरीबन 40 साल दिया है मेरा पूरे जर्नी के लिए. अभी मेरा हॉस्पिटल तो रन हो रहा है, लेकिन मैंने अपने पूरे OBGY प्रैक्टिस स्टॉप करके, क्योंकि एक ही ज़िंदगी है, एक ज़िंदगी में इतने सारी चीज़ें जो करना है. मैं अभी भारत स्वच्छ अभियान इज़ माय कोर सब्जेक्ट, और मुझे लगता है कि हेल्थ एंड हाइजीन ये दोनों ऐसे देर लाइक लिटिल मैरिड थिंग्स. तो जो कुछ भी है कि हमारे मेरा जो इलाका है वहाँ पे जितना भी हाइजीन हो सकता है, क्लीनलीनेस हो सकता है, उसके लिए मैं देखती हूँ. ऑल्सो आई टीच इन स्कूल्स, गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स है जहाँ पे हमारे जो लेबर क्लास के जो बच्चे आते हैं, तो उनके साथ जो दे आर द फ्यूचर ऑफ आवर कंट्री, उनके साथ जो समय मिलता है मुझे, दैट समथिंग आई एम वेरी वेरी हैप्पी डूइंग इट. एंड आई ओनली वुड लाइक टू टेल द यंगस्टर्स that you're just blessed to be born as doctors. There is so much to receive and so much to give. Thank you.
I am very proud to be a part of this 1974 batch. When I heard all the speeches and then when I met all my friends after 50 long years, it really took me down the memory lane. It was really a good experience and a great experience. I'm looking forward to go to Alibag and have a nice time. And I'm practicing in Pune, so I hardly get a chance to meet these people So I'm very happy and very lucky.
It was wonderful. I mean, meeting after 50 years, and some of them we really have met after 50 years. Few of them we must have met in between. Was a really wonderful experience. Coming back to your alma mater, being with your friends, and I think 50 years is a real milestone. Not that everyone achieves it, and I think we are lucky to have such an event, and we are looking forward to Alibag tomorrow.
So the reunion which is happening after 50 years has been enlightening. We saw the colleagues which we haven't met for last 40-50 years. So it's completely enlightening for me to see them again. And the newly developed Nair Hospital, which we got lost, which was amazing because it was part of our life for 5-6 years or more, but that happens. But so it was nice to see them and make acquaintances again.
यहाँ मैं नायर हॉस्पिटल में अभी उपस्थित हूँ। हम सब क्लासमेट ने 74 में एडमिशन लिया था। हम 50 साल पूरे कर रहे हैं, इसके लिए उसका आनंद मनाते हुए हम अभी नायर हॉस्पिटल में हैं।
टुडे द प्रोग्राम दैट वी आर होल्डिंग, ये पूरा आज का 1974 बैच जो मेडिसिन में एंटर किया था टोपीवाला नेशनल मेडिकल कॉलेज में, उस समय का बैच है। आज 50 साल कंप्लीट हो गए हैं मेडिकल कॉलेज एंटर करके। सारे हमारे 120 स्टूडेंट्स थे, उसमें से ऑलमोस्ट 60-70 आज आए हैं, बाहर देश से भी आए हैं। ये इवेंट जो किया है वो ऑर्गेनाइज बेसिकली हमारे बैच के लिए किया है, लेकिन स्टूडेंट्स भी वेलकम है क्योंकि काफ़ी स्पीचेस वगैरह रखे हैं डिफरेंट स्पेशलिटी के, ताकि ये स्टूडेंट यहाँ पे उनको कुछ एजुकेशन हो जाए कि आगे कैसे बढ़ना है।
Good afternoon, everybody. It's so great to be here in these lovely corridors of learning at TNMC. I do come quite often when I come back to Mumbai to visit my family, and I have visited TNMC quite often. But this is after many years that we had such a well-organized program. Now, you know, I am from the 1974 batch, and I was in training till about 1980. Then once I graduated, I decided to move to the US to pursue my further training in medicine and gastroenterology. And it was the experience at Nair Hospital. It was the teachers at Nair Hospital who helped me move forward and who trained me in the right way and who taught me all the wonderful things in gastroenterology that led me to do further training in gastroenterology and become a gastroenterologist. Now, I've been in training, I've been in practice in New York City for now over the last 35 years. It's been a great adventure for me all along. I've enjoyed it every minute of the time. And I've always come back and done whatever I could in India to help people in need and to do whatever I had to give lectures to students. I love teaching. And in fact, I think about 8-10 years ago, we had organized a medical mission. We brought about 40 medical personnel, out of which 20 were doctors and 20 were nurses. We came on a medical mission to Mumbai. We did some free medical clinics for a lot of needy people in the Navi Mumbai area. And we worked with the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, and we worked with Nair Hospital. In fact, at that time, we had organized a wonderful whole day event right near at Nair when Dr. Kekre was Dr. Kekre was the dean, and I think following him, we had a couple of other deans who helped us along the way. But the biggest event we had, I think, was in 2010, where we organized a whole day event and we did a lot of we covered a lot of topics in gastroenterology, medicine in general, in nutrition and obesity. And I always cherish every moment that I come to Nair Hospital. And I'm so glad everybody gave me the opportunity to come today. They welcomed me. I was glad to meet so much of the faculty. I was glad to meet so many of the students. And of course, I was most glad to meet so many from a 1974 batch whom I had not seen in so many years. Thank you so much.
1974 बैच के आज 50वीं वर्षगांठ है और इसलिए हम मिले हैं और हमें ये बहुत अच्छा लगता है कि एक प्रकार का नॉस्टैल्जिया हमें पैदा हुआ है कि हम इतने जूने फ्रेंड्स के साथ मिले हैं और इतना अच्छा लगता है कि हर एक ने अपना अपना रास्ता ढूंढा, अपना अपना रास्ता चुना, लेकिन हर एक ने अपने अपने रास्ते पे बहुत अच्छी कामयाबी पाई है और ये बहुत बहुत एक गर्व की बात है।
I'm really excited to meet all my colleagues. It's a 50-year-old batch. Some of them I'm meeting them after a long time, and very nice of you people to cover this because this is our lifelong memories. And I'm again thankful to bvgtv for all your help and the coverage, because these memories we are going to keep it with us all our life. And we had a wonderful experience, and we have sent good messages to all the budding doctors, guiding them what to do in future after clearing their MBBS. Thank you so much.
कार्यक्रम के मुख्य डॉक्टर शरद शेनॉय जी ने अपने विचार प्रकट किए।
74 बैच का जो हम लोग ज्वाइन किए थे, ये हम सब इकट्ठा ही थे, अपनापन था एक, और इसीलिए जब ये 50 साल पूरे हो गए तो मैंने सोचा कि एक दूसरे को मिलना चाहिए। और जैसे शाहरुख खान का पिक्चर जो है, कल हो ना हो किसी को क्या पता, उसके लिए वैसे सबको मैंने फ़ोन किया और किसी ने भी ना नहीं कही, अनलेस दे हैड सम अर्जेंट इश्यूज़, सब बोले हम आ जाते हैं। तो कम से कम 130 में से 20 तो गुजर गए, लेकिन बाकी 100 में से कम 80 लोग आ रहे हैं इस फंक्शन के लिए। 50 साल होने के बाद में जो इकट्ठा होने का मज़ा जो है, बेसिकली मेरा एक पर्पस और था कि हम इकट्ठा होकर कुछ करें अपने लिए, अपने फैमिली के लिए और अपने समाज के लिए। तो सोच रहा हूँ कुछ अपने जो अलीबाग का फंक्शन होगा तो आई रेज सम फंड्स टू हेल्प आउट पीपल। जैसे हमारे बैच में चित्रा है, फड़के है, 2-3 ट्राइबल एरियाज़ में प्रैक्टिस करते हैं, तो उनके लिए कुछ करने का इरादा है। तो सभी बच्चे लोग इकट्ठा करके कुछ तो हमारी तरफ से मदद हो सकती है तो मदद करेंगे।